The reign of terror is finally over in the NFC North. It's been a long, long time for Vikings fans, Bears fans, Lions fans. All I've known in my lifetime of 24 years is Packer greatness. It's Brett Favre, it's Aaron Rodgers, and there's been glimpses of poor Packer seasons when Rodgers goes down or when Favre left for a year and Rodgers was a rookie. We've had moments, but this is the first time I finally feel free in my entire fandom of football. Like, Jack, I don't know if you can really understand what this feels like for a Vikings fan.
Oh, Flacco used to carve us up.
No. Okay.
Just he has no idea what he's talking about.
Like this must have been what Andrew felt like when Tom Brady left New England. It's a freeing feeling here because every single year, the Lions, the Bears, and the Vikings, we would go into the season with the Packers as the favorite. Every year we go into Lambeau and at least one of us is losing that game 40-0 on national TV. It was just consistent greatness from Green Bay. And one thing that I noticed a lot over the past 2-3 years, and you guys tell me if you agree with this now, Packers fans were tired of Rodgers. A lot of them wanted to move on from him. They were tired of the complaining. They were tired of the offseason drama. But once he's gone, they haven't seen things from the other side in 30 years. They don't remember what it's like. A lot of Packers fans have no idea what it's like to have a team without a Hall of Fame level quarterback. That doesn't
They've never heard the word rebuild.
They've never heard it once. Maybe when you started with Rodgers the first year, but it was pretty quick to realize that he was going to be great. So they have
Aaron Rodgers in his first year, he was no Zach Wilson.
No, he was still very, very good. You think about Greg Jennings saying in practice, we saw the greatness of Rodgers. There was panic, but there was never really that much doubt.
Well, it stinks. I do have something to say on that, but it does stink for you, Paul, as a fan of the Vikings. Now Rodgers is gone, but you got their new regime with the Lions now. You got to worry about with Jared Goff.
Enough of that. All these Lions. All of these Lions truthers out here that are saying they're going to be great. I said last time, the Lions will find a way to do what they do best, and that's lose. They have a very talented team, but they're not. I'm not threatened by Detroit the same way it was with Green Bay. So now I just see these Packers fans who wanted Rodgers gone for so long. Jordan Love comes in. I think that you're going to regret that decision.
Well, I think in the moment when, the last couple of years Aaron Rodgers was there, and it's a similar feeling for me, the last few years of Big Ben to an extent.
I thought you were going to say Flacco again. I was like,
No. It's like, maybe we've reached our ceiling with him at quarterback. Great quarterback, but maybe the ceiling has been reached. Let's move on, see what we can do. And then he's finally gone. It's like, oh, crap. What do we do now? And thank God for me, because I do see potential, like I said, in Kenny Pickett. But when Big Ben was not the quarterback of the Steelers, I'm like, sheesh, like, this could be a bit of a problem. And I think it's the same thing for Green Bay fans at the moment.
I remember when Steelers fans were deciding between Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs.
That was
that must have been the wake-up call, right?
That was atrocious. And now you're in the moment when you're not winning with Rodgers and there's this off-season drama and complaining. You're like, okay, you know what? Let's move on. The ceiling's been reached. Let's see what else is out there. And now he is gone. And it's Jordan Love. It's like, oh, shoot, we took this guy for granted.
Well, it's exactly the same reason why, despite him causing so much trouble for the Green Bay front office, they didn't want to get rid of him until he basically said, I'm not playing for you. I'm retiring or going to the Jets. Right? It wasn't until Aaron Rodgers forced their hand that they wanted to let him go. Because the fact is, you just can't replace a guy like him immediately, or, it could be 50 years. It could be never that they get another Hall of Fame quarterback. You just don't know.
I mean, like the level of talent. I've always thought, his resume and his accomplishments and his accolades aren't those of somebody like Tom Brady. But I've always said that.
Well, maybe the postseason. I mean, a regular season, he's what, 4-time MVP?
Yeah. But I'm talking about
winning.
Winning, yes. Okay. But you talk about pure talent and quarterback skill and what he can do is one of the most talented ever.
Well, you mentioned Big Ben too, and just about how it was for the Steelers towards the end of his time. Big Ben, when he was finishing up, he couldn't throw the ball anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying, because he was horrible.
No, but that's why I think it's going to be an even greater scale down for the Packers, because Ben, he couldn't throw. You know, there was the Steelers really had nothing to do. I actually think that new options were better for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If you replace Ben, you were probably going to be a better football team. The Packers getting rid of Rodgers do not get better. He's still a very, very good quarterback, despite last year's stats.
Yeah, how stunned would it would be surprising if Aaron Rodgers won MVP next year, but it's possible. It was not possible that Ben was leaving the Steelers and going to win an MVP.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we got I would say that we are 100% now better off with Kenny Pickett and moving forward. But the Packers went from one of the best teams in the league to probably one of the worst.
Oh, you look at their roster right now. They have some talented players here and there, but if you go up and down that depth chart, it's a scary sight. He was holding together a lot.
But I do think I don't want to sound too negative about the Packers because
you can't. You can't sound more. I hope this is a day, Ziggy, that we've been waiting for a long time.
No, I get it. My point is just we're making it sound like they're crazy. Aaron Rodgers said he wanted out. Only one team would take him, namely the Jets. And for Aaron Rodgers, 15 and 170, they get 13, 42, and a first next year. Because let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers is playing this year. He's probably not going to get hurt. They're going to get that Jets first round pick. Like getting a first rounder out of him, I didn't see it coming. Plus an early second, it's not bad.
Yeah, no, the compens they got a fair amount for Aaron, but we'll talk about from the Jet perspective in a couple minutes here. But one more time when we look back for Green Bay now, I was talking mostly about the fans. You're totally right, Ziggy. He wasn't going to come back to Green Bay this year. That relationship had run its course, and it looks like it ended as nicely as it could, given the circumstances. What we've seen in the past, it could have been a much uglier breakup. I just look at the situation Green Bay's in right now. Yes, there are talented players. There's a lot of young players on that team. But Jordan Love, we've said here on this show multiple times, Green Bay hasn't had faith in him. There's a reason that they kept bringing Aaron back year after year. I think that this is the beginning of a tough few years for the Packers, especially because I don't believe in Jordan Love. And because Jordan Love is not the guy I see as their future quarterback, they're going to commit at least 1 or 2 years to him. So that rebuild that we're waiting for, I see that even being pushed down the road. This is the next couple of years with Jordan Love, unless he surprises people and takes a leap, you're just kind of waiting for the next quarterback. Do you disagree? Do you think Jordan Love will be good?
I'm not a huge, based on what we've seen so far, again, small sample size, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying too about Trey Lance. It's tough to really be super critical, but from what I've seen, don't really see any hope or promise in Jordan Love being your next starting quarterback and being successful. So I'm going to say no.
He's going to come out and be amazing next year.
Yeah, he's going to come out and be
Jordan Love to the Jets 2038.
Yeah, he's going to be so good.
He's going to come out and be so good, yeah. But no, what I've seen so far, no, I don't see it.
You know, it'd be absolutely freaking typical. The Packers suck this year and then get Caleb Williams.
Oh my God.
I would lose it.
Oh my God, if that happens.
When you've got a bad quarterback and, what receivers do they have? David Bakhtiari keeps saying they when talking about the Packers. This offense could be one of the worst in the league.
I didn't even think about that.
Aging. No, if Jordan Love is... The Packers fans, what they need to be afraid of is Jordan Love being decent. If he's terrible, which I think is what a lot of people are expecting, they could be getting an elite quarterback in next year's draft.
If the Packers have a top 2 pick in next year's NFL draft, I'll be furious.
Yeah, I remember.
They're totally going to do that, aren't they?
I remember always saying, the last couple of years watching the Packers, like, I couldn't really imagine this team being any sort of a threat or any good without Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. But I think the one person who we're watching play college football now who can do some of the things that Rodgers can is Caleb Williams.
No, we heard Andrew talk about this time after time again. If Caleb Williams becomes a Packer, I'm done. I'm done.
That's a very scary thought.
I don't think Jordan Love is that bad though. This Packers team, they're not good, but I don't see them being a bottom.
I don't just think it's that good.
Yeah, Jordan Love, he doesn't need to be the worst quarterback in the league. Who's actually on this Packers team on the offense? You've got Bakhtiari, who might be on his way out. You've got Aaron Jones.
Yeah, you got
the rookie wide receiver, Christian Watson. But those guys, they needed Aaron Rodgers to be good.
Yeah, that's. I was looking at their roster earlier. You have Romeo Doubs still there.
I can see.
Who's their other receiver at the moment?
Who knows, right? Half the team's packing up and leaving for New York.
Where's Cobb? Is it the Cobb side?
Cobb's out.
Cobb's gone.
I can see Green Bay though going 6 and 11. Yeah. That's not a top 3 pick. Is it?
Yeah,
No,
no,
but
it's-
look, even if they don't, right, they'll have a couple firsts, they'll have some seconds. There might be a team that's really bad that would be willing to trade out. I'm just saying. The
No,
Packers
they're doing
fans should be
things-
hoping the team's bad.
Yeah, no. They're doing things the right way. I do think that in terms of the rebuild that they are starting, and I know I said that you're kind of pushing the official start of it until you get the quarterback that you like. And look, maybe Jordan Love does wind up being good. I don't like to wish anyone ill will. But with the Packers, I'd be okay if Love's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. I just see that I think they're doing things the right way. If you weren't going to bring Rodgers back, you get a few first round picks now. You have an opportunity to really improve in some areas that you've been lacking recently. And once you find that quarterback, it's go time again.
Look, maybe in Jordan Love's mind, when he's come in the past, right? It's a little bit less pressure because Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. I'm just here filling in for him while he's not playing. But now he's the guy. Like, here's my chance, and let me go show what I can do.
So in the
Well,
NFC, go ahead, Ziggy.
The one game he played was not low pressure, right? It was that game that Aaron Rodgers was out in 2021 against the Chiefs. That's the only game he started.
He didn't impress me in that game. He played against Philly last year, right?
Yeah, but that was not for much of the game.
No, it wasn't.
And also, who looked good against that Philly team besides Patrick Mahomes?
I thought I thought Love was okay in that game, if I'm remembering. I'll need to go back and watch.
It's just he
that.
only threw like a dozen passes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough to really it's tough to knock him right now because the sample size is too small.
So in terms of the NFC North at the moment, we have the Vikings now, who are sitting there in a weird position with Kirk Cousins. Ziggy, I'm very afraid of what's going to happen on Thursday night during the NFL draft. I'm hearing a lot of rumors about the Vikings possibly trading up for a quarterback. I know Will Levis has been linked to them, Hendon Hooker. Some people are saying Anthony Richardson now. All the quarterbacks that we've said we're skeptical of are being thrown out in the Vikings
I'm not
circle.
skeptical of all of those, Paul.
Oh, I know not all of them.
If we get Anthony Richardson, I'm buying a jersey.
But so anyway, the Vikings are rumored to be looking to go up in the draft. They'll probably wind up trading back and getting some no name like we've been doing recently. They're there. Detroit. Are they your team now, Jack, or are you just
They're my
messing with
team
me?
in the North.
Don't forget Dalvin.
Oh, in the
Cook.
North.
They're my team
Okay.
in the North.
Dalvin Cook's on the
They're
trade
your
block,
team
yes.
in the North?
Yeah, like Detroit is the best team in the North.
No, I mean, like, are you like hopping on them the way you did with
yeah.
Seattle this year?
I
think
thought
they'll win the division, get a top 4 seed. Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
Steelers were his team in the North, but Fairweather fans.
Well, yeah.
And then the
I have
Bears.
2 teams in the North. 2 teams in the North.
We'll see what happens with the Bears. So at this current point in time, how would you rank the NFC North? You just have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you listing it at?
Right now, I'd go Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago, Green Bay.
I think a lot of people would say that. Would you agree with that, Ziggy?
No, I'm going Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago.
Love that.
I mean, I could also see a world where I flip Chicago and Green Bay 3-4.
Most people, I'd imagine, would say Detroit and Minnesota are 1, 2, and then Green Bay and Chicago are 3, 4, and you could flip those two
any sort of
in either way.
But look, there's always a lot of prognostication. The fact is, the NFC North, now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, like it used to be, you could just predict the Packers every year because it's Rodgers. Now I don't know what you do.
Now it feels like finally everyone has an opportunity.
That's the thing. It's like Minnesota just last season. I know there was a luck factor for sure, but they had 13 wins.
13 wins is legit.
So they had 13 wins. Now there's no Aaron Rodgers, and what are they plus 400 to win the North?
It's plus 330, I think.
I think
last time.
I think that's a value. That's where the value is in that division.
I mean,
How much do
yeah,
you trust
people-
Detroit? That's the question. Do people really trust the Lions to go and win the division? It's just been so many years. I know they have a great team.
I like Detroit because I think the offense is very tough to stop. And now they also upgraded on that defensive side. They got Gardner Johnson.
Oh, yeah. No, they
They
did.
have 2 good cornerbacks now.
They got good
They got
pass rush,
Hutchinson
too.
as a second
Top
year.
pick in the draft this year.
There's a lot to be high on for Detroit.
Yeah, there's a few teams out there. It's like the Browns that you have Detroit. There's a few teams like that who just can't seem to get it together. Even when it seems like it's going right, it falls apart at the worst moment.
And is Jared Goff really the guy for that?
That's the other question too. Do you trust Jared Goff that much? People are talking about Goff like he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, and he had a good end. He had a good end of the year, but
I think it's going to be exactly the same thing. He was in a complimentary offense. Teams didn't respect him. He had some good game planning. But now we're going to see the Jared Goff we saw that made the Rams panic sell for Matthew Stafford.
So that's where I look at this division and I say, okay, if Goff is good, Detroit's a hard out. But if he's not, it seems like it should be the Vikings.
Yeah, it's one of those two teams.
And it all comes down to Jared Goff for me.
You bring up a funny point, and I remember I once heard Colin Cowherd say, when the Browns were being very, very hyped up with Odell those years, and Colin Cowherd was like, it's really fun. That year, the Steelers, who were not supposed to be really any good, finished ahead of the Browns in the North. And Colin Cowherd goes, you know what? Like, I think it's just so funny how it's just a piss poor franchise in Cleveland. You can give him whoever they want. You can give him the star power, whoever. And you can give the Pittsburgh Steelers a great franchise. Players might not be as good on paper, and yet here they are, better than the Browns still. So
that's a lot of times when you look at how the organization is run from the top down. I mean, the Steelers are good front office, great coach. And Cleveland, a lot of turnover. Same thing with Detroit, a lot of turnover there.
The Lions and the Browns are the same thing in that sense, which is why there is reason to hit the pause button.